You know, I've always had a soft spot for Secret of Mana. While it wasn't as big or epic as Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, this Super NES action role-playing game managed to stand out thanks in large part to the 3-person multiplayer questing. This is one of the few adventure games that hoped you'd gather your friends around the TV and work together to solve puzzles and take down bosses. I loved it, and I hoped at the time that this local multiplayer mode would be included in more role-playing games. This seems to be the approach of AereA, the brand new music-themed adventure game where the focus is on questing with friends. This 4-player RPG isn't as big or epic as Skyrim or Dark Souls, but it manages to stand out thanks in large part to the local multiplayer mode. In a lot of ways, it's exactly the kind of game I was hoping to see more of when I beat Secret of Mana all those years ago. AereA embraces the music theme in some fun and clever ways. You play a disciple of the great maestro Guido, who has to go on an island-hopping journey to collect the 9 primordial instruments and unravel the mysteries of AereA. You do this by choosing between several characters equipped with weapons made up entirely of musical instruments. There's Wolf, the harp archer, Jacques, the cello knight, Jules, the lute mage, and of course Claude, the trumpet gunner. Instead of being one large world, we see the heroes jump back and forth between the sewers, snow-covered mountains, lava dungeons, and a bunch of other familiar fantasy settings. You'll pick up a bunch of quests from the inhabitants of the concert hall and fly your trusty airship all around the world to kill a certain amount of bad guys, collect a certain item, rescue people that are lost in the woods, fight giant monsters, and gather up those primordial instruments we were talking about. It's not exactly groundbreaking stuff, but it has a charming theme and a lot of levels to fight through. As action role-playing games go, this one's a bit on the simple side. The combat is little more than using the primary and secondary attacks to slaughter a bunch of giant insects and angry animals. You'll also be able to switch between 3 character-specific abilities that can be equipped and upgraded throughout the game. Sadly, you aren't able to customize your character with new weapons or armor, since most of the depth comes from spending money on upgrades and buying new items. Much like Secret of Mana, this is a game that seems to be designed for a big group of friends. Unfortunately, I didn't have a big group of friends around when I went to play through AereA. The good news is that I didn't feel like I was missing out by going it solo. I mean, I'm certain that I would have had more fun working together as a team, but I had an easy time going through it by myself. In fact, I had too easy of a time going through it solo, and that's part of the problem. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that the difficulty scales depending on how many people you have in your party, because I found the game to be far too easy. The levels are filled with weak enemies that usually only take 1 or 2 smacks to defeat. Or yeah, you can beat most of the bosses in only a matter of seconds. No, seriously. Just watch how long it takes me to fight the accordion snake. That only took me 13 seconds, and I probably could have cut that in half if I used one of my special abilities. Pretty much every boss can be defeated this quickly when you go it alone. On top of being easy, AereA is also painfully repetitive. You'll end up having to replay the same stages multiple times before the end, rarely with any changes made to them. These locations also tend to use the same labyrinth puzzle, which has you running around a maze looking for levers to open up locked doors. Occasionally you'll have to fit a colored block into the right hole, but pretty much every puzzle comes down to unlocking doors and gates. This started to get to me after a while, and it made me wish there was a little bit more to do in this fantasy world. Well, I'm sure that this is significantly more fun with friends. I spent most of the game wishing that AereA had more to offer. I like the throwback visuals and the nice variety of colorful worlds, but hate how simplistic the combat is and how almost every level plays out exactly the same way. I also want to see more equipment, more plot twists, and more difficult bosses. This is a game that flirts with a charming theme and a clever idea, but comes way short of a standing ovation. Hey, thanks for watching our review. So here's the question of the day. If you could fight demons with any musical instrument, what would you choose? As impractical as it sounds, I think I might go with a theremin. Or maybe a triangle. So many choices. Let me know what you come up with in the comments below. Looking forward, I plan on following this up with a preview of Pixel Shinobi and review of Wipeout Omega Collection, along with Electronic Gaming Monthly's worst reviewed games of 1989. We have a packed week, so do me a favor and click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.